know if I'm making sense to anybody out there, but if I'm in, if I am, or if I is making any kind of sense to y'all, call in, man, 601-948-5950. 601-948-5950. Join the conversation, man. Well, when we got so deep into the conversation that they were talking about rapes and all this type of stuff that was going on down in the tent center, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was mind blowing just to hear it go back and forth with a person. And we had a cookout. And this cookout turned serious. You know, now everybody's serious about what they're talking about.
Right.
And I had to really just button down and listen because I'm at the point where we gotta know what it is that's happening right here. And we do know what it is right there. We ain't gonna fool ourselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't put a hardened criminal. And I'm not just saying that, but it's the truth, y'all. It's the truth. If your son went out there, your child, your daughter went out there and killed somebody, he is a hardened criminal. Somebody got to face that.
Right.
Ooh, goo, all that's over with.
That's it.
That's over with. Now, they take that same attitude into a tip center that's not even made for that. We know how this always happened. I gave you my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you, as I say that, I'm going to give you the flow.
Yeah.
But my opinion is this right here. Follow the money.
That's right.
Follow the money. Somehow, you went from the detention center to putting hardened criminals, people that kill people. Most of these kids got 1 or 2 bodies on their hand, maybe more.
Yeah.
Not knowing the velocity that what they'd have done, but at the same time, they died. They did it.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was in prison, and I had to tell people, I was in detention, that was 20 years ago, whatever, you know, they don't say it's old. But no, it was effective. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They had hardened criminals, people that killed people, in a juvenile hall in the detention center where the grown people was.
Yeah.
They wasn't mixed with the grown people. Now, don't get that wrong. They had their own pods. But they had them where they could be contained and be disciplined. You know what I'm saying? They had them on the structure. Where they understood they might have gotten a couple fights there. They might get more little stuff there, but it wasn't like in the tent center where you putting a bunch of wolves over sheep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I spoke to some former inmates recently. You know, I talked to them about why they were, you know, in the juvenile facility. Some of them it was because they were found with a weapon. You know, they spent 21 days there. Some of them were involved in a fight at school. Again, you know, really, it depends on where it happened. Sometimes they get referred from fights at school,
Right.
and they end up there for a long time. Because then they get caught up with the fight at the facility. You know, they get, you know, something happens with that as well. And yeah, you really do see in some of these different facilities, and again, some of them is by county. So, for example, DeSoto County has their own juvenile justice facility.
Right.
And based on statistics that came out from the Department of Human Services, as well as other agencies, they actually do lock up the most kids per capita for those statistics.
Mm.
Hines, you know, has a large population, so their juvenile justice facility will be bigger as well. You know, some of the other ones that you come across are smaller just because the county's smaller.
Right.
And then there's Oakley. Oakley is where it's you know, called, I think a center. They're all called a center. Again, that's just branding, really, because they're a juvenile.
Oakley, I went to Oakley Training School. Is that the same?
It's the same. It got the name got changed.
Changed, okay.
Yeah.
I went to Oakley Training School. I went to Columbia Training School too. Not to say I was a good child, I tell people all the time, I was one of the same. I did a lot of stuff on my own, try to stop me from doing. And I'll be first to own up and hold accountability. I think accountability is the first thing for everybody to do in any situation. I don't give a care if it's, you know, doing stealing or in a relationship, friendship, situationship, whatever it is, accountability is key to everything.
Right.
So, thinking about down here in Jackson, Mississippi, right here in Jackson, Mississippi, ask yourself, how many kids have murder charges down in the detention center, Henley Young, right now? People, out there right now, here in Jackson, Mississippi, how many kids have murder charges down in Henley Young, which is a youth detention center? They might wait, why he on this today? Why is he doing this today? You know why? Cause you got other kids that have a future that might can make it out of here and not be trapped in the same situation that this other person is in. I'm not saying that it's not late for that person to change, cause I changed. No, that ain't no. I'm not a hypocrite by no means. But what I'm saying is, call a spade, and call a heart a heart, and you put them in separate ways. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong down there in Henry Young. Tell me don't it cost money to house these kids down there. And why are you taking murder kids that have murder charges down into Tennessee? How did it go from raining? I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out. It was
So you
sad
put
that-
runaways with murderers.
with murderers.
And that child just ran away just because, we don't know the reason why, but it's a possibility that child may end up getting killed because they're in there with murderers. And
Right.
a lot of those children have mental illness and they
Yeah.
taking fun to come
And
here.
there are, and a big part of it also is that, you know, the guards, you know, I've spoken to some current and former guards who told
Right.
me, you know, off the record and on the record that, you know, that there is a staffing.
Staffing issues.
Yeah. And
Right.
it, you know, and just looking at the population, it is a large population for that facility.
Right.
And there are a lot of JCA, juvenile charges adults in the facility. And, you know, I've spoken to inmates who were there recently, and they did say that they were housed there. You know, they weren't in the same spot. But, you know, you see each other in the yard.
Right.
Those
Right.
recreational-
And when the police, when all the big people gone, how many people could float? Cause I floated. That means I was between every five. I was the person they talked about. It was on the news. If Frank Miller talked about, everybody want to praise him. Well, let me say it that way for you. I was the one Frank Miller talked about. All right. I was from pod to pod when I wanted to be, as long as the big people wasn't there. Right. I had friends that was in the other suit that was cool with me. That'll let me come out. Right. Do you not think that's happening there? That's happening there.
And another thing that was interesting was on the docket sheet, you know, you could really see, and anyone can look this up, Pine County has a docket sheet where it basically says for each department in the county, what they're spending the money on, how much they're spending on it. You can see, you know, how much money they're spending on food, soap, all that stuff. But you see security firms that are being hired, which, you know, makes you question whether some of these security firms are stepping in to take the jobs of some of these guards who maybe aren't being, you know, showing up. And again, this isn't proven, but if you look at the docket sheet under, you know, some of these departments, you're seeing, you know, for example, the Austin, Texas security firm.
Right.
You have to think about it. The guards is not showing up. Cause I talked to a couple guards that been down there, they quit. They quit because they get jumped off or they get threatened. And they have to defend themselves enough.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have to defend yourself with a key. That's a lot going on right there. It's different when you just defend yourself with a duck. A male duck, you know what you gotta do. But with a kid, you trying to have some kind of you kind of passive about what you're doing. You don't really want to hurt them, but you really want them to stop what they're trying to do to you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it goes further than what it is. And a lot of people quit them jobs. But the whole main frame of all this is right here. If you got people that have committed a felony, because when they say back, how you know about what you're talking about? Because I did it. Because I did it. Why? They bound me over to the duck, to city jail. The day they bound me over, they took me to city jail. They took my picture, fingerprinted me all over. They reprocessed me back over and took me back to that system. When I was placed in this juvenile pod. I was around juvenile. Even though men was there too, but we was always separated from what we was there. And we probably got more fights than the men did, you know, because we were kids. But at the same time, why is these kids down here in Henley Young? It's the money.
Yeah, but also, and then you'll remember this, it was under a consent decree, and Raymond was currently under a consent decree.
Right.
And Henley Young was under one from 2012-ish to 2022. And one of the concerns of the youth court judge at the time, his name was Bill Skinner, he brought the county to court because they weren't doing enough to patrol around to make sure that guards were showing up, not just against the violence against others, but violence against themselves. There was a problem with suicide ideation. You know, a lot of juveniles were harming themselves. And, you know, again, who checks up on these facilities to make sure that nothing too bad is happening? Well, at least for Henley Young and other juvenile detention centers, it's GPS. Department of Public Safety has a juvenile monitoring unit. They show up quarterly, they go through the facility, they make inspection reports, recommendations. They let the state know if something really bad is happening. And they also check out, they interview inmates, they interview guards. You know, they take a look, they collect incident reports from the facility to make sure that, again, nothing too bad is happening in terms of the violence. But, you know, recently, there were 3 that escaped
Right.
and shot at a woman.
Mhm.
There was a guard that was overpowered in the last 2 years.
Whatever was that?
Yeah, it was Henley.
Henley?
And again, their leadership has changed quite a bit. You know, now we're on Eddie Burnside, but before that, there was someone called Desiree Black who was there for less than a year. She, you know, there was multiple news reports about her being appointed. She was out in under a year. And, you know, in the news report, she expressed that there was some pushback from the county board.
Now you brought that name up, Eddie Burnside. I know Eddie Burnside, me, I'm familiar with him.
Well, he's
He's a
currently
good guy.
the
He's a
director.
good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. What I would say is this right here. I know him personally, and if he had the personnel to do whatever he's trying to be did and to keep everything safe, that it would happen. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I would say this. You can't have murderers around people that's running away, around people that's going and stealing, around people that lie to their parents, around people that just have bad behavior. You can't not put these people that have probably 2 or 3 murders under their belt. I already talk about they in a gang. And don't even know. Listen, don't get me talking about a gang. All this gang talk out here in the world. Don't even let me get to talk about that. Cause most of them don't learn nothing until they get to prison about a gang, about an organization.
That's right.
You can't even ask them the first thing about an organization here. Right now, they were talking about it. Oh man, I'm this, I'm that. Well, what's the oath? Give me the oath, man. If you can give me the oath, then I can understand what you're talking about. But they can't.
That's right.
They just say what they see every day, what they are accustomed to. They see these people are a certain way, and it's a certain thing that they do every day. They've been seeing it for all their life, so they think that's the way it's supposed to go. So first thing they say is, I'm in the game. You know what I'm saying? And that put a lot of pressure on people that's changed their life, that has been a part of organizations, and trying to come out into the world, because you have kids that are saying they are part of something and they don't even know if they're a part of them, not took an oath, not even went through none of that stuff to be trying to be a part of that. They think getting jumped is getting part of a gang.
Right, but
They been watching too many movies.
Right, them the ones that's actually in the game.
Right.
You have people that the real ones are in street organizations.
Right,
So we gotta make it plain for the people in the back.
right,
The
right.
gang members are the ones out here doing this crazy stuff, the robbing, the stealing, and stuff like that. The street organizations were built based on helping to take care of their community.
Mm-hmm. That's
And changing their life.
And that's a fact. And I